So my experience sort of came out of one situation of sort of, I had a little period where I was feeling a bit lost and not knowing what my next steps were in my life. And then, unfortunately, I think there are definitely people out there who kind of sniff that out, and will kind of feed off of that. So I ended up, at that time meeting, a person who sort of knew how to manipulate that, and that just turned into me making some decisions that I was not proud of and that I don't think reflect who I am in any other chapter of my life. So I did have a point where I experienced depersonalization, which at that point I had no idea what that was. So depersonalization would be when you feel a disconnect from your body, and sort of the way that I could describe it from my own thing is that I was sort of above and watching it happen, and that's kind of the same as watching a TV show, where you're like, oh, I feel bad for this person, but I'm aware that I can't reach in and do anything about it, which is scary. And I will go ahead and say that also happened to me when I was physically with another person, which is a lot scarier, because then at that point somebody else is in control of you. So that's very scary. So I did have that happen. And because I didn't have any prior knowledge of what that was, I was basically just like, I'm going nuts, or I have no idea who I am, because if I can't control myself and the decisions that I make, then who the fuck am I? No, I don't feel that I was prepared to deal with that. I think the only way I was prepared to deal with that is that I understand. At one point of that, I was back at school in Buffalo, and I knew that there were counseling services there, and so I knew that was an option for me, and I did eventually get myself there. But I was not prepared in the sense that no one had ever taught me that those things were a possibility to experience, or what that might mean. And then after the fact, I'm sort of I was told, oh, depersonalization is common when you have a panic attack. That's a thing that happens to a lot of people. Well, if I knew that, I wouldn't have gone through this whole existential crisis thing. I would have just been okay, I was having a panic attack. I should probably talk to someone about that. And so it's really easy when you're already so flustered by a situation like that to think that much more of it. If you haven't been told this is all it is. So yeah, I do wish that there was earlier education about that. Right. Yeah. Right. I'm not sure what is taught in public schools now to kids that are growing up now, but I know for me, in middle school we had health classes, whatever. I remember they covered what an eating disorder was, and they taught us what drugs were, and they taught us not to use them. That was as far as it went, and I never learned about any of this, and I don't think anybody should have to learn about it from experiencing it first, or from, just as bad from having a loved one who's experiencing it and they don't know what to do about it. So I definitely don't see any reason why it should not be taught in public schools. I think that would help a lot. I mean, I definitely would also feel that just about everybody has struggled at one point or another with their mental health. And a lot of it, I don't think our society helps us much with that because, some people may have pre-existing, conditions that may have come up regardless, but different things like the media telling people how they should look, what they should eat, what sort of like this one overarching definition of success, which I think that's bogus. And so, yeah, a lot of it is just the whole language that our country speaks and that the whole sort of business world speaks at this point, I think pushes people to feel less healthy about themselves than they would on their own, which is really unfortunate.